Hi, everyone. It's Hallie. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate your time. We will give it just another minute. I'm going to go ahead and start the recording in just a second as we let people hop in. We should, or you all should be able to hear me okay, and also be able to see my screen as well. If that's not the case, please let me know just by dropping something in the chat box if there's an issue. But otherwise, we should be good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and start the recording and get things going. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. This is how can I optimize my LinkedIn presence to find my dream job, or leveraging LinkedIn to find your dream job, which is basically the same thing. We're going to be talking about LinkedIn today. We really appreciate your time. We're going to be at a half hour today with our time. You should be able to see my slides okay. And as a quick reminder, you will receive a copy of the recording from today automatically. So just keep an eye out for that in your email. So let's go ahead and dive in. For those of you who have not attended a webinar with us before and don't know me, I'm a certified career coach, speaker, and author. I've been coaching and training since 2002. So it's been a really long time in a good way because I love what I do and our coaches do as well. And I have an undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University and a master's degree from the University of Illinois. And the first thing that I wanted to say before we dive in today is we're going to give you lots of different advice about LinkedIn. And LinkedIn can be pretty overwhelming for people because there's a lot of features, a lot of things that you can do with it. And it takes time to make your updates. So please just pick and choose what advice makes the most sense for you based on where you're at with LinkedIn right now and what your situation is. Pick and choose 2 or 3 things that you'll take on and know that the rest of the things you can work through over time. Okay. So why is LinkedIn so important? I think we all know why it's critically important. There's a lot of users, it helps us network effectively, et cetera. But 2 of the things on the right-hand side of this next slide are really critically important that we like to remind our clients of, that employers and recruiters will recruit people through LinkedIn. Now, this does not mean that you can just sit there and hope people will reach out to you, which is what we're going to talk about today. But when our clients ask us, is it really that important for me to be on LinkedIn? 99% of the time we say it is. Now, some industries are a little bit less represented there, but for the most part, you do need to be there. And the second thing we always tell our clients on the bottom right of this slide is how important branding is when you're looking at your LinkedIn. It's not just about creating your content, updating it, making it sound good and catchy, et cetera. It's not just about selling yourself. It's also about painting a picture in the prospective employer's mind about who you are as a professional. This branding idea is really critically important too. And it's something that most people forget to do. So it's part of what we're going to be talking about today as well. So the reasons that we want you to consider leveraging LinkedIn and spending more time on it is branding yourself, just as we just said a second ago. It helps position you, though, as an expert in your industry and kind of a step ahead of the other people, your competition in terms of applying for jobs. It's also an opportunity or a place to learn from other people, exchange ideas, and stay in the know about what's going on within your industry and what's going on with your colleagues and the companies or organizations that you're interested in working for. It obviously helps you strengthen and expand your network. And for those people who are not in job search mode, they're just looking to update LinkedIn for branding purposes, it can help you increase your sales with your clients and enhance your client relationships too. So let's take a look at our agenda. We're going to be talking today about making updates to your profile, making connections, and sharing information on LinkedIn, and why all of these things are important and helpful. And as a reminder, you'll get a copy of the recording of this automatically, and pick and choose which advice makes the most sense for you and your situation. So here's what we would do in order to start to leverage LinkedIn effectively. We'd start out with your profile, making sure that everything's in the right place as much as possible. Then we want you to start expanding your connections and get to that magic 500 plus number of connections that LinkedIn really likes. And then you can get to the point where you're starting to share information. It may be that you're sharing articles. Don't feel like you suddenly have to become a blogger and publish something all of the time just to look good on LinkedIn, but just starting to get more active on LinkedIn and sharing information in your activity feed can help you be seen, stay in front of people, etc. So let's talk about step number one, and this is your profile. It's absolutely critical to have a photo. We want you to consider adding a video as well. Photos are really important. You're going to be viewed more, people will connect with you more, just they're not optional. And we'll talk in a second about your photo and what we want it to look like there. We'd also like people who are searching for a new job to consider adding a quick video introduction of yourself, and you can include a link to it in your About section. It could basically be your elevator speech, a brief career history, almost as if you were answering the question someone would ask you or might ask you in an interview. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So this is not something that you have to have. And what I mean by that is it's not like you're not going to get a job if you don't have a video. But as we move towards more digital technology, et cetera, I think this can really help employers connect with you. So we want you to consider it. As part of your photo and your profile and possible video, you want to make sure that your headshot is professional, contemporary, all of that. You want it to be close up enough, use a light background, smiling, you're warm, etc. We had one client once who said, well, I'm trying to look serious because I'm being professional. And it's like, no, you want to look friendly, like they want to connect with you. And we'll show you an example on this next slide. We also absolutely want you to include a branded image for your banner. If your company or organization is a big deal in your industry, it could be your company logo, or it could be something else like a nature scene or city skyline where you live or something else relevant to your industry. But we want you, as part of creating this, to brand it so that you've got a tagline on there, as well as either your job title and some selling points inside of your tagline. And this is what we mean by your banner. This is what this is at the top here. Okay, this is one that we've created for our clients, one of our clients in the past. More and more people have a banner and it's branded. And this is part of what we want to add to your to-do list because it can make a difference in terms of you being memorable, people noticing you more, coming back to your profile, and also painting that picture of who you are and what you bring to the table right out of the box. As part of updating your profile, we want you to make sure that you've included all of your contact information and that you create a shorter version of your URL. So let's start on the left-hand side here. Make sure that when you're updating your profile, most people forget to ensure that their contact information is visible. They may not have their phone number or their email address, and we want you to have both. We want it to be as easy as possible for people to reach out to you, especially prospective employers. We like for people to go ahead and customize and shorten their URL because we want you, if you look at the far right-hand side of the slide, we want you to add a live link to your email signature line, the one that you're using for job search purposes so that people can get back to you and they know how to contact you easily. But we want you to add a text-only version to your resume and cover letter header. And it looks a little bit nicer if it's less gobbledygook and more your name and, middle name, something like that. You may have to play around with it just a little bit, but make sure that all of your contact information is up there. As part of your profile and updating it, we want you to focus a lot on your About section because this is the main thing that people are going to read before they even get to your Experience section. And we want you, as part of your About section, to speak to your reader more. It can be a little bit more personal. You can use first person on LinkedIn, whereas you wouldn't on your resume. That's always third person. But part of what we want you to think about, this is the ideal career model we use with our clients to help them with all of their different career goals, determining their direction, identifying their brand. Include some soft skills in there too. How do you stand out from the crowd? Are you really well known or known for your leadership strengths, for conflict management, for change management? Elements of your personality type are things that you want to put in your About section. You can also include your background in terms of education and your experience that would be relevant. And it's also okay to put some of your strengths in there. And we really like it when people will put at least one sentence or part of a sentence about why they enjoy what they do, why they're passionate about or enjoy their work, meaning why they want the job that someone is looking at you for. People want to hire people that are interested in the job. Okay. So adding something about that is nice as well. Now, with your about section, your writing choice should mirror your field. So what we mean by this is if you're in a more formal, traditional industry, so to speak, or field, you may lean more towards a third person narrative, and then you may have a couple of first person sentences at the end, which is fine. But we like it for human services fields where you can speak to the reader a little bit more, like with us as coaches, for example. A totally, completely narrative summary in your about section is okay. So one way or the other, bottom line is we want you to brand yourself with your soft skills too and sell yourself here, but also speak to the reader and at least use first person in a couple of sentences, even if it's mostly at the end, okay? Now let's take a look at your experience section on LinkedIn. Some of the things we recommend to our clients is to include inside of their experience section, in addition to their, key accomplishments as bullet points and a quick little summary at the top, some testimonials from their LinkedIn recommendations. It's nice to add those recommendations in your experience section, just a short snippet of it. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, to make sure that they are highly visible and don't just get buried at the bottom. And the second thing that we like to recommend to people is if you have any additional content that can help support your candidacy, like a presentation you've given that was really well received, a graphic, a chart, an analysis that you provided to a client, those can be really good too. Now you have to be careful with those, right? Because you can't put information out there that your company would be upset about and that would be confidential. So if you have to adjust those to genericize them a little bit more, that's fine. But this can be a really cool way to help you stand out from the crowd. We always like to mention in these free webinars that we do provide a free consult if you're interested in learning more about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, especially if you were trying to make a career transition, because there's some specific things we want you to think about there. Our free consult is for you to learn about our services, find out if it's the right fit for you, and we do give a discount for attendees. So when you sign up for that consult, let us know that you attended one of our webinars and we'll give you that code there. You can just email us at admin@createyourcareerpath.com. I'll put that in the chat in just a moment. So as you're thinking about your profile, and then we'll keep moving to our next section here. Let me just put this in the chat. Okay, so the email address is in the chat. When you're finalizing your profile, you need to make sure a few final things are present. You want to be using keywords that employers and recruiters would be looking for to find you. You need to make sure you search engine optimize certain sections of your profile where those LinkedIn algorithms look. It's a really good idea to get those recommendations, not just because of what we said a moment ago. You can put them in your experience section, but you can use them in a message to a prospective employer. It's content that you can use in different ways. And we want you to make sure that you go through all of your settings, please, because you need to ensure that your button, so to speak, or that you are letting people know that you're open to being contacted for opportunities. I'm open to work, so to speak. And there's two ways to do that. There's a public way and there's a private way. Make sure you choose the right one based on your situation. Let's talk next about making connections. And I said this a little bit earlier. Your goal is to expand your network to 500 plus people. It used to not be a popularity contest, but it kind of is now. This will give you access to more tools and resources on LinkedIn, and you look better when you have at least 500 connections. So start with people you know. Go through your phone and connect with as many people as you can find. Go to your alumni association, join their LinkedIn group, and connect with people there. check out coworkers, friends, family. You can even connect with industry leaders. And it's okay to accept connection requests from people that you don't know, as long as they look professional and normal, reasonable, if you will, until you get to that 500. And then you can start to get a little pickier. Okay. Branch out in some cases to those people that you would like to know. So we already talked on this next slide about university alumni and checking out their LinkedIn group, because people that you see are more active in those groups are people that are most likely to be more open to networking and connecting. So you want to reach out to them. The other reason why we bring up this next slide is bullet point number 3 here. If you are part of any industry-specific LinkedIn groups, or if you are not, go ahead and join 1 or 2, because those are places where you can find a little bit like warmer leads, because those people are within your industry and more likely to connect with you. And you can also leverage LinkedIn groups, because there may be a couple of people, again, that you see are more active than others, and those may be people that you want to try to connect with and conduct an informational interview. Okay. And we already talked about the last bullet point on this slide here. It is okay to accept some connection requests as long as they look professional and not like a fake profile. Okay, and sorry, my mouse is going all over the place, so I got to use it this way. All right, so making connections for job seekers specifically, we do want you to go ahead and set up job alerts on LinkedIn so that you can find opportunities on LinkedIn. We do find that it can be a really good idea to follow companies or organizations that you're interested in on LinkedIn, because they may post some information that you can use in your cover letter or as a reason to reach out to someone. And there's several other things listed on this slide that you can message the recruiter to express interest. You can try to figure out who the hiring manager is. You can message people who have recruiter in their header and the company name and see if they are hiring, or at least as a way to get in front of them after you've already applied. And we find at the very bottom here that premium is worth it for job seekers, because you get that unlimited messaging and you're able to see more frequently and with more information, unless they're in private mode, who has viewed my profile. There's a really good LinkedIn guide that we have. It's $20. And it gives you these tips plus a lot more on how to get in front of people. It's really, really good. And you can email us about that or check it out on our website. All right. 2 things related to making connections that we want to remind people of is, number 1, when you're trying to connect with someone, don't just send the standard request. Like, write something thoughtful that explains why you're trying to connect with them. And if you're wanting to connect with or contact a third connection, always go through that second connection first. Get them or ask them to make an introduction to the 2 of you, so that A, the person is more likely to get back to you, and B, then you have their contact information and the ball is in your court. Like we said, don't send the default message. If you need some examples of what you could say to a cold connection, are on this slide. I recently read your article. I enjoyed meeting you at a certain event. Remember, when you go to in-person events or even virtual ones, don't forget to connect with all of those people that you encountered or who participated on LinkedIn, because those, again, are really viable connections. And I invite each of you today to search for me, Hallie Crawford Career Coach, on LinkedIn and send me a connection request. I would be happy to connect with you. We talked about this a second ago, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But if you are interested in our LinkedIn guide, it gives you a lot of other good tips and tricks based on what we're talking about today to update your profile, but also how to get in front of hiring managers, what you can say, how you can find them, etc. People love our guide. As part of making connections, the next thing we want you to be thinking about is making networking a part of your weekly schedule. So it's a really good idea to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to at least do networking if you're searching for a new job, like 2 or 3 times a week. This doesn't mean hours on end each time. It could be that you spend 10 minutes on LinkedIn 3 times a week, connecting with people, responding to messages, setting up informational interviews. It's just really important to get the ball rolling with this and have LinkedIn be part of what you do for your search, like this networking piece of it, so that it doesn't feel like this overwhelming thing out there and that you get into the groove with it a little bit more. Now, we talked about this next slide already for a second, so I'll just add a couple of thoughts here. With LinkedIn groups, here's what we find, okay, is most of our clients will tell us, I think I might be part of a couple of groups, but I don't remember and I'm never in them. We will have people tell us that some of their groups are dead and they don't really do anything and they don't seem to be very helpful. And every once in a while, someone will tell us, yeah, I'm part of an active group. So please know that we are not saying that these LinkedIn groups are like buzzing all the time. It depends on the group, the industry, etc. But we still feel that they can be helpful for you at least to spend a few minutes on, because if you can identify and look through the feed of those groups, if there are 1 or 2 people that seem to be posting more often than others, those may be good connections for you. And we've had clients make really good contacts within LinkedIn groups that were willing to give them some time, quick advice about their search, etc. Okay. I would suggest for sure you connect with or join and leverage your alumni group first from wherever you graduated. I know Vanderbilt has a LinkedIn group, Georgetown, most places do, but find that one first, because those are really good warm leads for you. And we want you to look for people who are active. You can go ahead and ask questions in those groups and see if people respond to you. You can post in those groups to be visible. It's another way to continue to expand your network. And what if, by the way, in one of those groups, you actually find out that there's a recruiter who's in one of those groups and you want to connect with them? So it's a more, I don't want to say passive way, but kind of a different way to connect with people that can be really positive. We also, as part of your weekly schedule, want you to take advantage of the Who Has Viewed My Profile feature so that you can see if, for example, what if you applied for a job and 2 days later you saw someone from that organization looked at your profile? That's someone I would want to reach out to and try to introduce yourself to. Okay. Now let's talk about our third and last step for today, and this is sharing information with your network. We're not saying you have to post every single day, okay? And we're also not saying you suddenly have to become an author. It's fine to share things that are interesting to you with a couple of sentences about why you're sharing that post. This is just an easier way for you to stay in touch with and in front of your network versus all the time having to reach out to specific people. People will keep you top of mind, especially if you share things that are noteworthy. This could be just once a week. So make a commitment to put something in your feed, in your activity feed, once a week. It could be an inspirational quote or a video. Make sure that you always keep it professional, okay? And as part of sharing information with your network, it's a good idea to include anything that can help you get the job. So we talked about this idea of artifacts in your experience section already, but you can also put these in your featured section at the very top too. This is a static section where people will see it even before your experience section. And if there is just something really compelling that you accomplished for your organization, a marketing campaign you completed, a presentation you provided. There are some examples on the slide here, lots of different things that you can include there, but these are things that not only can you post in your activity feed, but you can also post them in that featured section. Now, in the featured section, I wouldn't have more than 1 or 2 things. You don't want to overwhelm people, because then remember, as we said earlier, you can put some of those same things or different ones in your experience section as well. But we've had clients, for example, create a career one sheet that outlines their leadership philosophy when they were applying for an executive level role. We've had other clients create a quick portfolio because they were in marketing and they wanted to show off some of their campaigns. So there's different ways to get creative with showcasing how you're different from the crowd and what you bring to the table. And we would just highly recommend that you do things like this in addition to updating your resume, et cetera, because it could be something that you send over to a recruiter or a hiring manager and it could help you get noticed. Okay. So, our last slide for today, and as a reminder, you'll get a copy of our recording. We want you to write down a couple of action steps that you will take. We would love it if you would start with creating a banner, for example, or maybe you need to search engine optimize your profile, lots of different things that you can do. But if you'll write down one thing that you'll do in the next week, that would be great. I would give yourself a good 2 or 3 weeks to complete your profile, though, to be realistic about it. Give it time because it's like writing your resume. I honestly don't think it's anyone's favorite thing to do. And I say that jokingly because I get it and I understand it. We've had a few clients in the 25 plus years that we've been coaching say, I love writing my resume, but it's very few and far between. So I know that this can feel overwhelming. Please just take your time with it. Hold on to the recording from today so you've got your action steps and make a commitment to, okay, I'm going to get this into the best shape I can over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Because here's the deal. All of these things are going to help you get noticed and help you get in front of employers, et cetera. But this doesn't mean that, for example, just because you don't have one of the elements that we're talking about, you're not going to get discounted for getting the job or getting reached out to. We want you to work in this direction. Okay. As a reminder, our LinkedIn guide, you can just email us if you'd like that, and we'll just send you a quick invoice, etc. And if any of you have not coached with us before and are interested in learning more about our services, please feel free to email us to set up a quick consult with me. I'm happy to talk with you further, and feel free to mention that you attended a webinar to get that coupon code. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. We hope this was helpful for you. Look out for the recording and good luck with your LinkedIn. Bye-bye.